Today, the Kansas Department for Children and Families released limited information about the calls that they got about 3-year-old Olivia Jansen. Olivia's father, Howard Jansen, and his girlfriend, Jacqueline Kirkpatrick, are charged with first-degree murder in her death. KCTV5's Emily Rittman sat down with DCF Secretary to answer our questions and some of yours.
For weeks, KCTV5 News spoke with family members and community members who are frustrated with how Olivia's case was handled. For the first time, we got to ask the DCF Secretary about those concerns, including concerns from protesters.
What do we want? Charges!
One thing we heard them chant over and over again is that DCF failed. What's your response to that?
You know, I don't sit here today with a belief, with what I know today, that DCF failed in following its policies and practices. But what I do know is a child isn't alive. So I think it's incumbent upon all of us, DCF, other systems, and the community to say, how might we best protect children?
Before an autopsy determined Olivia's death was caused by a brain bleed and her body was found badly bruised, buried in a shallow grave. DCF received 2 reports on February 28th of this year, alleging both Howard Jansen III and Jackie Kirkpatrick caused bruising and injuries to Olivia.
We saw no evidence of injury. We continued that investigation. A person reporting the abuse recanted, and we simply didn't substantiate that.
After DCF determined that report was unsubstantiated, they received another report on June 22nd, just 18 days before Olivia's death. That June report accused Jansen and Kirkpatrick of parental substance abuse and inability to provide proper care for Olivia. When DCF contacted the family, they were told Olivia and Kirkpatrick were out of state.
Our worker insisted on having a live video chat so she could see Olivia and talk to Olivia, and did not see any indication of any lack of well-being. If this had been an allegation of physical abuse in the way that the February call was, then I think that would have been handled in a different way.
We asked if a video call instead of a home visit is sufficient when investigating suspected child abuse, because it might be easier to conceal signs of abuse.
Do you have ways of verifying if somebody's actually out of town or if they're just really trying to dodge the system?
You know, I don't have any information to verify that. In a case that would be alleging physical abuse, I'm just speaking generally now, those are the sorts of circumstances where perhaps we would have reached out to the other state to ask them if someone could see the child in person while they were out of state.
KCTV5 News also questioned if other children living in the home were interviewed by DCF about what was happening behind closed doors.
I can't speak further than what's on the summary, just based on, again, some of the legal confidentiality requirements.
Plenty of people called, and we're telling them we're concerned about Olivia.
Olivia's step-grandmother, Elizabeth Jansen, says she called police and DCF to report her concerns about Olivia's safety.
Their job doesn't have room for error, because when you screw up, somebody can die. The DCF secretary says they will do a deeper critical incident review to see if there are ways to improve. Reporting from KCK, Emily Rittman, KCTV5 News.
Olivia's father tested positive for marijuana following that June report. We asked why the father's girlfriend wasn't also drug tested, but DCF could not comment.